Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel, and today we're going to be continuing in the series where I rank all the best new cards from a brand new set here on the tier list maker. We got all kinds of good new cards to look at in Black Bolt and White Flare, and I'm going to be ranking all of them depending on how good I think they are from the set. We got a bunch of tiers. We got S, A, B, C, and D tier, and then of course if you don't know what any of the cards do, I do have Pokemon proxies pulled up here. We can click on one of the cards and read what they do, so you know what each card does. But I'm super excited to get into it. These videos are always fun to make, and if y'all are going to go on to enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like on the video. If you're new here to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We are on the road to 25,000 subs here on the channel. Leave a link to this tier list down below if you want to go try it for yourself. And yeah, let's get into it. So this set definitely does have a lot of good cards in it, but most of the good cards are going to be like upgrades to older archetypes as opposed to like brand new decks. But there is a handful of pretty solid stuff in the set nonetheless. So starting off, we got the first EX to talk about, Superior EX. Now, Superior EX, I think, is cool. It's got that Royal Cheer ability where attacks used by your Pokemon do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, and then Grass Order does 150 damage for a bunch of energy, but you can then search your deck for 3 cards and put them in your hand. So playing this in like a grass deck, like with the Mega EX, could be kind of decent. You can use the Omega to move the energy on the Superior. You can let your Omega do more damage. Superior is like solid. I would probably place it in B tier. I don't think it's like the greatest EX card ever. It is a grass type, which is decent against Grimmsnarl and Charizard. But I think that overall it is a lot of utility. So I'm going to place it in B tier. I think it's a fairly like average card. It's fine. It's cool. It'll make for a fun video, but I don't think Superior is like mind-blowing. I don't think it's like it's the upgrade grass needed to be more meta, in my opinion. Next up, we got this new Volcarona here, which has an ability, discard a basic fire from your hand, and you can leave your opponent's active Pokemon burned. Now, this is like similar to Volcanion EX, where Volcanion, when it's in the active, you can leave your opponent's active Pokemon burned. The Volcarona is cool. I would probably place it in C tier. I think it is worse than Volcanion. I think Volcanion is a better card. Volcarona is cool because you can use it with fire energy, and you don't have to have it in the active spot. It's not a 2-prize liability. But I think overall Volcanion is just a better card because you can play it with cards like Gladius and Switch and freely use it more efficiently, as opposed to just like using Volcarona, which you have to evolve it and then you have to discard a fire. So like there's more steps to using Volcarona, in my opinion, making it less worth it to actually utilize. So for now, I'm going to place Volcarona in the C tier. All right, but next up, we do have the brand new Seismitoad here with the attack round that does 70 damage for each of your Pokemon in play with the attack round. So if all 4 of your Pokemon in play have round, you do 280 damage. The attack does work with a Ignition Energy. You also have round on both the Temple and the Palpitoad, but Seismitoad is a stage 2, so it makes it a bit slower, but this deck definitely, I think, is going to be fun. I would maybe place Toad in B tier. It does have enough power behind it where I think it's not bad. Its support is there, right? You have Hilda, you have Ignition Energy, you have good ways to set your board up. You can play Redeemable Ticket if you prize a Temple. I mean, ideally, you just want to go 4 Temples, one of them becomes a Seismitoad, and then 3 other Temples chill on the bench. Maybe one of them will become a Palpitoad to make it easier so you don't have to rare candy out your Seismitoad. It's a fun little rogue deck. I think it's like worse than Typhlosion, but I think it's still like fine. And with like Brave Bangle and stuff, you have more damage output. I definitely like Seismitoad being in the B tier. I think it's cool. Another card I think could be in the B tier is the brand new Tirtuga, which of course has that Ancient Debris attack, which is Trash Avalanche. For 1 water, do 30 damage for each item card in your opponent's discard pile. Now, Trash Avalanche is a very iconic attack from the Sun and Moon era. It literally changed the format. I don't think Tirtuga is going to quite do the same. I do think this card is very good, though, at the least. Like, the attack is still good. Don't get me wrong. And you do more damage. Trash Avalanche Garbodor did 20 times. This attack does 30 times. Tirtuga, this is weird. I don't want to quite put it in the C tier. I don't think this card is that unplayable. I think this card is at least somewhat playable. I would maybe put Tirtuga in B tier, just because the attack is just so good. There's no way it's going to be, like, unplayable. Like, I do think at some point, before Tirtuga does rotate out of the format, I think it will see some play. It does suck, though, that it is coming out in the same set as Jellison, and then we already have Budew in the format. There's already a big item lock presence in the meta right now, which I don't think is great for Tirtuga. But I think Tirtuga is still very solid. I would definitely place it in the B tier, because I think a lot of people right now are deck building differently because of cards like Jellicent and Budew. So there's less items going around, but I do think that items are still going to be relevant. I mean, there's no way Tirtuga doesn't see play, in my opinion. It's just, I know it evolves from a fossil, which makes it harder to get into play, but This card is just so good. Like, the attack Trash Lynch is just so strong. For that reason alone, I would place it in B tier. I don't know the card is going to be meta. Like, it's crazy to put Trash Lane in B tier, but I mean, it's just the way the card floats. Next up is this evolution Caracosta, which I actually do think is pretty solid. It's got that Mighty Shell ability, prevent all damage and effects of attacks done on this Pokemon by attacking your opponent's Pokemon with special energy on them. This card is actually really powerful because of all the special energy that's going around right now. We got Luminous Energy and Neo Upper Energy, so this card could be pretty annoying for Dragapult to play against. But on top of that, it also is immune to the new Prism Energy and Ignition Energy. It's actually a pretty annoying Pokemon, and the fact that it evolves from Tier 2 is kind of cool. You can play it with Relicanth. You can actually attack and copy Ancient Debris. I like Caracosta. I also think it's a B tier card. I low-key kind of want to place it in A tier, but again, it does evolve from a fossil, which I think does slightly hold it back a little bit, but I think Caracosta is actually a fairly solid card because of its ability, and I think its ability will be good due to the amount of special energy. It's not great against everything, like obviously like decks like Gardevoir and Goldengo will just like eat you alive, but stuff that use special energy, that use Luminous and Prism and Rainbow and Neo Upper and Ignition Energy are going to find this Caracosta pretty annoying to play against. Another card that surprisingly is pretty good is the new Alomomola. With that Gentle Fin's ability, once you're in turn, when this Pokemon is in the active spot, you get to put a basic Pokemon with 7 HP or less from your discard pile onto your bench. This ability is pretty insane, and I think it's really good for a lot of decks that utilize these type of Pokemon like Dragapult, Goldengo, or even something like Typhlosion or the Round deck with Seismitoad. Alomomola is an A tier card in my opinion. I don't think it's quite S tier, but it does deserve to be the first A tier card on the tier list because I think that it is a fairly good ability that's just very useful to have. Alomomola has 110 HP. It's not really much of a liability in that regards. Like, you can't Phantom Dive as easily, and it does work with an air balloon or rescue board, so it's got a decent retreat pivot. I think it's a fairly solid card. It's a great way to get your Pokemon back into play, and it's really good for these like one prize decks, something like Ancient Box or Festival Lead or Typhlosion or Round. I think we'll really like this card. I think it's a pretty solid card. Another new EX here. This new Kyurem EX. Blizzard Burst. 1-3 damage. Does 10 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each prize they've taken. This attack actually can do a lot of damage at the end game. If your opponent's taken 5 prizes, Kyurem can do 50 damage to your opponent's bench. I think the best way to utilize this card would be in a deck like Frostlass Monkey Dory, because then you can add even more spread, and you also want to make sure you're countering opposing Shaymins. But building Kyurem up might be a challenge. I would probably just put Kyurem in like C tier. I don't think it's unplayable. Like, I think the attack is strong enough for it to see some niche success, but I don't think the card is quite as good as people make it out to be. It's cool, and I definitely think in a spread deck it can actually wipe your opponent's bench at the end game. But for now, I'm going to place it in C tier. I think it's a little underwhelming. What is not underwhelming, though, is the reprint of Dynamotor Electric. Once you're in turn, attach a basic light energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Dynamotor's back. Flaffy just rotated not too long ago, but now we have Electric back, so Dynamotor has now returned. Miraidon generally could become a good deck again because we have 2 brand new cards in the set. Electric, I would place in S tier just because its ability is so strong. And these type of abilities, Dynamotor, we've seen it on a Malamar and a Bronzong before. These abilities are always good, and Electric is no exception. There's a lot of good Lightning Pokemon in the format, and we're getting a brand new EX, which we're about to talk about, Zekrom EX, which is going to make Lightning so strong, and Electric is a nice boost that Lightning needed. I mean, the best way to play Miraidon was literally just Joltik Box. Joltik Box is still good, and honestly, Joltik could still see success in this meta, but I think Electric is a great new upgrade to Lightning decks. And then we got the new Zekrom EX here, which is very powerful and is another big boost for this Miraidon deck. It's got the attack Voltage Burst that does 130 damage, then does 50 more damage for each prize your opponent's already taken. This is like Burning Darkness on a basic Pokemon. In fact, though, it does more damage than Burning Darkness. So in the late game, Miraidon can hit really hard with Zekrom and close out games with a big Voltage Burst. This is a great upgrade to the Miraidon deck. I think Zekrom deserves to be an S tier for being one of the best EXs. Honestly, besides maybe another EX, this actually might be the best EX in the set by far. So I would definitely put Zekrom and Electric in S tier for being 2 very powerful cards. Electric being really good support for these Lightning decks, and Zekrom being a fantastic closer for Miraidon. Because now Miraidon can use Iron Hands, and then it has Zekrom for the late game. So instead of, the Raichu V angle Miraidon would take, now it has access to a Burning Darkness attack, which is actually pretty ridiculous. So definitely S tier for sure. The new Reuniclus is very reminiscent of the old Torterra. It's got that Evo Lariat attack that is 40 plus 40 more damage for each of your evolution Pokemon in play. If you pile up a bunch of evolutions in play, for 1 energy, you're actually hitting pretty hard, and then you got Cellular Awakening for each of your bench Pokemon. You can search deck for a card that evolves that Pokemon and then put it on that Pokemon. It's not a bad card. I mean, definitely can do decent damage, and we've seen these Evo press decks do good before, like Torterra. There's an old Nidoqueen that was pretty good. It's a fun, solid rogue deck. Also, it's not okay. The damage multiplier is not as good as Torterra, but it already does 40 base damage, so technically you're already doing 40 damage off the rip, which is pretty good. So I kind of like it. Also, it applies for itself, so it's not just bench Pokemon. I'd place it in probably B tier. It's like a pretty decent card. You can build some cool stuff with it with the help of like Pidgeotty X, Luxray, Dracloak, all kinds of different cards. I really like Reuniclus. I think it's a fun one. I'm excited to make a video on it. I'm going to place it in B tier for being a pretty solid little rogue deck. Nothing too crazy, but nothing too terrible either. We got another new EX here in the form of Meloetta EX with that live premier ability. This Pokemon can attack on your first turn going first. Attacking going first is pretty deadly. You can donk your opponent technically with Echoed Voice. That does 30 damage for 1 psychic energy. And then next turn, the Echoed Voice does 80 more damage. But I don't think Meloetta is actually going to see that much play because of that. I think it's like more or less you can use it with tool cards, so you could utilize it with TM Evolution going first. So going into your next turn, you would already have evolutions on the board. I think that's pretty decent for sure, but the problem is Meloetta is a bit of a squishy Pokemon. I feel like I hate to place it in here, but I think Meloetta might be a C tier card. I think it's cool, and it might actually just be better as like a donk deck over like a setup deck. Like, I don't know if it's going to be worth playing this Meloetta TM Evo package in your deck to get out your Pokemon early. I don't know if it's really worth it to do that because you got this liability on board. I think it's more niche than anything else. I would just place it in C tier for now. I think that's probably the correct place to put a card like Meloetta EX. Another card that I think is unfortunately kind of mid is the new Excadrill with Piercing Drill for 2 fighting energy. Does 60 damage, and then does 60 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon on the bench with damage already on it. So you can play this with like Monkey Dory or Halucha to put damage on the bench, and then you can obviously do like a double snipe play. You do need 2 energy though, which is a little awkward, and then your other attack is kind of mid. Excadrill is cute, but it does get blocked by Shaman. I hate to say it, Excadrill might be the first D tier EX card in this. I don't even know if it's D tier. Like, the first attack is actually, like, not terrible, but I sadly just can't see Excadrill seeing any play. Yeah, there's not really much fighting support right now. Maybe when, like, it gets better with Lucario EX and the new Fighting Power tablet card, but shake my head. I think Excadrill is unfortunately a D tier card. It's a cool Pokemon, but they just kind of did it dirty. This new Crustle is interesting. It's got that sturdy ability. If this Pokemon has full HP and will be knocked out by damage from attack, it's not KO'd. So very main HP is 10 instead. Yeah, this like potentially invincible Crustle. Stone Edge is your only attack, though. You could combine this with the other Crustle in the format. Probably just a C tier card. The ability alone makes it fairly interesting. You can make some pretty funny little like invincible combos with it, but I wouldn't really write anything home about this Crustle. C tier just for the ability alone. It's like cool. You know, you can do some fun things with it. That's my take on it. The new Genesect EX, however, is also really good. It does have that ability. Once you're in turn, you may search deck for up to 2 Metal Evolution Pokemon, and put them in your hand. Getting Metal Evolutions for free is pretty ridiculous. This card has a fantastic ability, and it's a huge upgrade to Goldengo. It's pretty good for other decks like Archaladon, Metagross EX. I would place Genesect in S tier. That ability is bonkers, and it is a great new upgrade for Goldengo. Goldengo really likes Genesect. Like, that alone puts Goldengo up a couple tiers in terms of, like, how good it actually is. Yeah, Genesect is a fantastic card. I would 100% place it in the S tier status for sure. It is definitely one of the better cards in the set. All right, I think next up we're going to the items now. We got Energy Coin coming up next. Flip 2 coins. If both of them are heads, you can search deck for 1 basic energy and attach it to one of your Pokemon. Now, this card is extremely risky because you do have to flip double heads in order to make it work. So, logically speaking, if you were to play all 4 of these in a turn, you might have one of them flip double heads. But there's also the chance they're all going to just flip double tails, and it's going to be pretty bad. It's a little bit of a high roll card. I don't think it's worth playing this card in your deck. It's a cool idea. And you could get really lucky. Like, theoretically, you could play 4 of them in a single turn and flip 4, double heads each time. Very unlikely that'll happen, but it's not a 0% chance, but it's very unlikely. And, I mean, you're most likely going to play 4 of them, and one of them maybe will hit. So, like, probably D tier. Like, it's a pretty mid card. It's just not worth putting this in your deck. It's going to be funny to try to make something work with it. Like, there's Energy Sticker in the format, so we can make, like, a really funny, like, Energy Acceleration coin flip deck. But for the memes, sure, but competitive value, probably just D tier. Next up is Air Balloon. This card is very impactful. The retreat cost of the Pokemon this card is attached to is 2 less. Obviously, one of the best tool cards we've had in a while is coming back. Yeah, this card is great. A lot of Pokemon in the format have a true tree cost, like draw engines like Revavroom and Zoroark EX, but also big stage 2s like Grimmsnarl and Charizard really like this card in my opinion. Obvious S tier pick. Air Balloon is one of the best cards in the set. This card is going to be very good to have in the format. And I had to put Air Balloon in S tier. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. This tool card is fantastic. Now you can safely play these 2 retreaters without having to worry about getting like counter catcher or boss stalled with Budu or something. Another new supporter we got is End's Plot. Move up the 2 energy from your bench Pokemon to your active. Now, it does move 2 energy, so like you can technically move special energy, and you can also move basic energy. This card might be worse than Poppy, though, even though it does move special energy. Poppy never really saw much play either, though, and End's Plot probably won't see a whole lot of play. Just for the effect, I guess I'll place it in C tier. It's like a poor man's Scramble Switch, poor man's Poppy. It's like fine. The effect is like decent enough where I can maybe place it in C tier, but I don't think the card is very good. Like there's just better supporters you can probably play on your turn than using End's Plot. Also, like Energy Switch already exists, and that card's like universally just better than End's Plot. So like I would maybe just place it in C tier. I don't think it's like unplayable or anything. Like I can definitely see a world where somebody uses this in their deck, but I don't think that it's like that good or anything like that. Another supporter that I think is kind of mid is Fennel. Heal 40 from each of your Pokemon. This is kind of cool because in a format where like spread damage is really relevant against like Grimmsnarl, Gardevoir, and Dragapult, this card could actually be pretty useful to have. It's better than Picnic Basket in the fact that it heals 40 as opposed to 30, but Basket also heals your opponent's Pokemon, which is kind of relevant because you can take Monkey Dory damage off the board. I think Fennel is a perfectly fine card. I would place her in C tier in the same place where End's Plot is. I don't think it's a bad card. And I am once again saying that like I can see a deck that does use Fennel just because healing 40 from each of your Pokemon actually can be very good against stuff like Frostlass and Grimmsnarl and Dragapult, but I don't think that it's super powerful. Like I don't know if any deck will actually really play it, but I can see a world where maybe someone uses it. So for now, I'll put Fennel in C tier. It's a very niche card, but its niche effect is actually fairly solid. Next up is Prism Energy. When it's attached to a basic Pokemon, it provides a Rainbow Energy effect. Now, it's only on basics, so you can't play it on your Dragapults, but you can put it on your Monkey Dories. You can really utilize this card in a deck like Ho-Oh Armor Rouge, which I quite like. This is a weird one. I actually don't know if I want to place it in A or S tier, because like there's not really that many decks that'll play it right off the bat. The only deck that will for sure use it is Ho-Oh Armor Rouge, so I'll put it in A tier. I think it is a very strong card. And I could definitely see a reason for it to be an S tier, but there's not that many decks that will utilize it. I think, honestly, at the moment, Luminous Energy is slightly better just because you can actually use it on your Dragapult. I think Dragapult, being such a meta deck, actually is pretty relevant for Luminous Energy's success. So I think for now, Luminous deserves to be an A tier, maybe S tier in a different world, but there's just not that many decks that will use it over Luminous Energy. And, like, other than Ho-Oh Box, like, yeah, I think A tier is a good place to put it, though, for sure. But I don't know if I could really put it in S tier at the moment. Next up, we got White Flare cards. We got a brand new EX, Whimsicott EX here, a basic grass Pokemon with the attack energy gift. Search deck for up to 3 basic energies and put them onto your Pokemon anyway you like. This attack is pretty solid to set up your board. You can power up a specific Pokemon pretty quickly, which is very nice. And then you got the attack Wonder Cotton, which for 1 grass energy does 50 damage for each trainer card your opponent has in their hand. This attack is also pretty good. We've seen this before on cards like Bayonet EX, which was kind of successful. So Whimsicott has 2 pretty solid attacks in 1 card. The downside about Whimsicott, though, is it's very squishy. It's only got 230 HP, which makes it a little fragile. It is a grass type, though, so it does have a decent typing against Grimmsnarl and Charizard, which does help it quite a bit. I would probably place Whimsicott in the B tier. I think it's probably the best EX in B tier. Like, I'd probably rank it above Superior. I think its typing, its 2 pretty solid attacks actually do keep it above those other EXs that might be in B tier. But for now, I think it's more of a B tier card. I don't know if it's worth it to put in A tier. I have seen some people try to do some cool things with it in Japan, but I think for now, Whimsicott is more of a B tier card for sure. All right. We got Rain Dance for Fire back, baby. Inferno, Fandango, Emboar. As often as you like, during your turn, you can attach a basic Fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. Now, unfortunately, Emboar hasn't seen as much success in Japan as I wanted to, and the downside is it's like the same thing as Baxcalibur. This type of deck isn't as fast and efficient as it used to be back when we had Bibarel and Pokestop. Emboar is a cool card. I do really like it. I think it is fairly strong, but it's kind of outclassed by Ho-Oh Armor Rouge. But for now, I'm going to place Emboar in B tier. I think Rain Dance is very good, so I can't place it any more lower than B tier. But because its impact isn't going to be felt right away, like I just can't place it higher. Maybe at some point it'll be an actual meta deck. But I don't know. Like, Emboar was really good back in the day, but much like back in the day, Emboar had to compete with Typhlosion Prime, so, like, it had competition for energy acceleration. And Typhlosion, I think, was overall a better deck than Emboar. Emboar eventually did become a decent archetype, but, like, it took a while, right? It was good with Magnezone, I guess, but I don't know. Like, Emboar just, for now, is a B-tier card. It just, unfortunately, the Stage 2 kind of Rain Dance deck just isn't really successful right now, or else Shempao would already be an archetype in our current format, you know what I mean? What will be good, though, is Reshiram EX here. Much like Zekrom, it's got the same attack, and it's a fire type, except you have to discard energy from your Reshiram instead of doing 30. Reshiram's great. It's a great card to have in Ho-Oh box, or if Emboar ever sees play, Reshiram will be good in it. I think it's worse than Zekrom because I think ultimately the fire deck is worse, so I'll place Reshiram in the A tier for now. I think it's a very solid card, but I can't see it being any higher than A tier. I think Zekrom overall is better because Miraidon is just a overall more stable archetype. I don't think Ho Armor Rouge is going to be as good as Miraidon. So for now, I'll place Reshiram in A tier. I know they're like the same cards, so like why are they not both in S tier? But the type of archetype they're played in, I think actually does make a difference for placing them in the ranking, in my opinion. Going into the water types now. We got Velix with Double Freeze, flip 2 coins, does 9 damage for each heads. If one of them gets heads, your opponent's active is now paralyzed. It's kind of a reprint of the old Velix Double Freeze card from Noble Victories. One of my favorite decks, by the way, from back in the day. Unfortunately, it's not as good because there's no way to like reflip the attack because you had Victini back then. You also had Vileplume to item lock. This Velix is like kind of honestly pretty bad. Probably D tier. I hate to say it, bro. I wish this card was better. I love Velix. Velix is my boy, but this Velix card just doesn't have the support behind it to make the attack better. Also, it needs 3 energy as opposed to 2, which is kind of a downside. There is a decent chance you can spam paralysis, though, because only flipping 1 heads actually is not that hard and unlikely, but overall, it's unfortunately pretty mid. Honestly, another pretty bad card is this new Kellio EX, which is a huge letdown from the old Keldios we've had. It's got the attack Gale Thrust that can do 120 if it moves into the active spot, then Sonic Edge that just shreds your opponent. Sadly, this card is pretty bad. In fact, I think Kellio is another D-tier EX card. Really sad that they gave Kellio such a bad card. Honestly, it might be the worst EX in the set. I think Excadrill is just overall better. There's actually more uses for Excadrill. I gotta put Keldeo in D tier. Like, I hate to say it, Keldeo's an awesome Pokemon. It's had some iconic cards, but this card is easily a D tier card. It's so bad. Sucks to see it, though. They could have made it better for sure. All right, got some Psychic Mons here, starting off with the new coffrigus here with the attack that move all damage counters from one of your bench Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack is actually fairly good in a tank deck. It's been used before on like the Rockets Wobbuffet. There's a Dedenne EX in the format. You can play this within like a Metagross EX deck or any tank deck. Like even Dragapult could use it because you actually heal the Pokemon and they can knock something out. It's a pretty strong card. It's a bit of a setup card. 2 energy. It's a stage 1. Place it in B tier for having a pretty solid attack that can be annoying to play against. Like, healing something fully can always be devastating, and maybe it'll be actually good when we get Tag Team Pokemon. Or Tag Team Pokemon, Mega Pokemon, I should say. Because they have a lot more HP that you can heal. That would be more of a devastating to do. New Gothel has this annoying ability, Twisted Future. Once your turn this Pokemon is in the active spot, you can have your opponent shuffle their hand in their deck and draw 3 cards. Then you got Synchro Shot that does 9 damage, and you have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent. You do 90 more damage. Not a bad attack, not a bad ability. I think Gothel is a fairly like decent card. I don't know if I want to place it in B tier though. Like probably C tier. I don't know if there's any niche uses for it. The ability is strong, and it's got a retreat pivot with Air Balloon, which is pretty cool. But I don't know if that many decks will play it. Maybe there'll be some like hand locking control decks that can use it because you can use it with Zerosic? No, Zerosic wouldn't work, actually. No, I don't know. The Gothitel's okay. I think C tier is like a fine place to put it. It's a stage 2 also, which is kind of slow. However, one of the best cards in the set by far is the new Jellison EX. I'm sure you all have heard about how good this card is. Sea Curse. Once in the active spot, your opponent cannot play any items or tools from their hand. Kind of broken in Gardevoir. This card is ridiculous in Gardevoir. Obviously, Jellison has to go in S tier. Yeah, it's just a very broken card. It's like debatably the best card in the set. So, yeah, Jellison is just nuts. It makes Gardevoir EX even more broken than it needed to be. So, yeah, definitely got to put Jellison up in S tier. It is super good and hands down is one of the best cards in the set without a doubt. So, yeah, Jellison, easy S tier pick. The new Archops is also pretty solid. It's got a Primal Wings ability. Once your turn, if it's in the active spot, you can choose one of your opponent's evolved Pokemon and then de-evolve it by putting the highest stage back into your opponent's hand. De-evolving your opponent on an ability is actually really good, right? Instead of using the attack like with Devo, you can use it on an ability. You can also use multiple Archeops in a single turn if you can switch them in and out of the active spot. De-evolving them and still being able to attack is actually really powerful. Archeops is a fairly decent card. The problem is its setup is a little jank. It's a fossil, so for now I'll place it in B tier. Yeah, its setup is a little awkward, so I think B tier is like a fine place to put Archeops, but I do think it is a pretty good card nonetheless. So yeah, B tier for sure. This new Terrakian's kind of cute. I like it because its Retaliate attack can do 130 damage if one of your Pokemon got knocked out during your opponent's last turn. So you can use it as a way to knock out big fighting weak Pokemon like Iron Hands, Zekrom, or Rhydon. This could be a nice card to have in a deck that utilizes Luminous and Rainbow Energy, so you can have a decent one-price attacker versus these Lightning decks. So Terrakion, I would just place in B tier for having decent utility with Luminous Energy and stuff. Like, even putting this in, like, Dragapult, as dumb as that would sound, would actually be kind of solid, or even in Ho-Oh box. Just being able to one-shot these big lightning Pokemon pretty easily is nice, right? So I like Terrakion being in B tier. It's a bit of a hot take, but I think it's pretty solid in my opinion. Another card I really like is this brand new Zoroark here with the attack My Jack and Foul Play. They literally took two really good Zoroark cards and mashed them together. It's got the attack Mind Jack that does 30 damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon for 1 dark, and then you got Foul Play, which can work with a Ignition Energy. Get to choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and then use it as the attack. So it's got the same attack as Mew EX. This card is, in my opinion, actually really solid. It's got decent support behind it with Ignition Energy. I like Zoroark going in A tier. I think it's one of the better Stage 1 Pokemon in the set. Bit of a hot take, but I'm a big fan of Zoroark. I think it's really cool, and, you know, I think at some point it could be good. I mean, both attacks are just so powerful. Like, the first attack is not bad to do damage, and it one-shots Jellison if Gardevoir has a full bench. Then the second attack can also be pretty good, because there's so many different attacks you can copy and do some wacky plays with, for sure. Another new EX here, the new Hydroen EX. Not as good as the old Hydroen from Surging Sparks, but solid enough. It's got the ability Greedy Eater. When this Pokemon knocks out a basic Pokemon, you take an extra prize card. Now, the attack Dark Bite isn't very good because it needs so much energy, only to do 200 damage. With the ability, it's nice, but, like, so much energy. The way to play Hydrogen is with Ignition Energy and TM Blindside or TM Crisis Punch. So, Hydrogen probably just in B tier because it's got some cool utilities and cool plays. I wouldn't really place any higher than B tier, though. It is a nice, cool card. And again, the TM Blindside Ignition Energy combo is nice, but I don't think it's like anything to write home about. It's just a cool combo. Next up is Tool Scrapper, getting out of the items. I mean, Bouffalant, I guess I could put in the tier list. If I put Bouffalant, it'd probably be like C tier. It's like not that good. But Tool Scrapper here. Choose up to 2 tool cards on your opponent's Pokemon and discard them. Pretty solid card, right? Really good against Bravery Charm. Jamming Tower is already in the meta, and I think Jamming Tower is still a little bit better than Tool Scrapper, in all honesty. But this card is searchable with Arven, which is what makes it strong. Obviously, I'm going to place Scrapper in... A or S? Probably S tier. I mean, it's just such a good card. There's so many reasons that Tool Scrapper should see play. I'll place it in S tier, yeah. I don't know. Like, I was going to put in A tier, but, like, I don't know, man. Scrapper in A tier kind of feels a little wrong, to be honest with you. I don't know if I could realistically put Scrapper in the A tier. I mean, yeah, it's just such a good card. Tool removal is always good to have in the format. All right, next up is Brave Fangle. This card is fantastic for one prizers. When it's attached to a non-rule box Pokemon, it does 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX, which is really good. A lot of non-rule boxers like Typhlosion, Fesfalid, Roaring Moon, Okidogi, Seismitoad, so many options. Like, there's so many to name. Really want to use this card. This card is great. Also, being able to grab it with Arven is good. This just helps fix a lot of math on these Pokemon to compete with these big Pokemon, especially then when Megas come out. This card gets even better. Like, great card. I'm going to place it in S tier. I know one prizers kind of struggle right now in general because of decks like Gardevoir, Dragapult, and Grimmsnarl, but this card is just so good for them anyway, so I kind of just have to place Brave Bengal in S tier. It's just kind of a no-brainer, in my opinion, to put a tool card this good in the S tier status, in my opinion. Next up is Clown. I feel like if you play this card, you are a clown yourself. Each player shuffles their hand in their deck, then you flip a coin of heads. You draw 5, and your opponent draws 3 of tails. You draw 3, your opponent draws 5. Pretty bad card. I had to put in the tier list for the memes. Pretty good pick for the D tier, obviously. Like, I don't think Clown is very good. In fact, like I said, I think you're a clown if you want to use this card, sadly. But what supporter is very good, in my opinion, is actually the best supporter in the set, is Hilda. Search deck for 1 evolution Pokemon, 1 energy, reveal them, and put them in your hand. This supporter card is so good. It's a great setup card, right? Being able to grab evolutions like a Dracloak or Dragapult is good, but you get to get an energy. It's not specifically basic energy. So yes, Hilda does get you special energy cards. So you can use Hilda, of course, to grab Luminous Energy, Rainbow Energy, or Prism Energy, Ignition Energy, or Neo Upper Energy. This card is great for setup decks. I think a lot of decks will potentially use it right off the bat, but I think eventually this card will age pretty well in the meta. I'm going to place Hilda in S tier for being a very good supporter card. Honestly, I didn't expect this many cards to be in S tier, but there's a lot of pretty solid cards in the set that change the flow of the meta, so I really like how the S tier is a bit fatter this time. I don't think the S tier was even this big in the Destined Rivals one I did, or even the Journey Together one for that matter. So that's kind of crazy. The quote unquote mini set is bigger than this. But yeah, Hilda, really good card. And then finally, we got Ignition Energy. When it's attached to an evolution Pokemon, it provides 3 colorless energy. There's a lot of decks that will use Ignition Energy, like the Zoroark we just talked about, Seismitoad, but a lot of other niche Pokemon like Blissey EX, Greninja EX. There's actually a lot of uses for this card. I think it's actually a pretty solid card. I would probably place it in S tier for being a very good special energy card. I don't think it's like anything like super insane broken because it doesn't have as much utility as you might think, but I think its utility is good enough where I can definitely put Ignition Energy in the S tier. I really like this card. I think it's really good, and I definitely want to place Ignition in S tier for sure. But there you go, folks. That is my ranking of all the best cards in Black Bolt and White Flare. The S tier was a lot bigger than I thought. A tier, was a little bit smaller, but I think this set does have a lot of really cool stuff in it. I'm very excited. As a fan, somebody who's a fan of Unova, like, Velix and Hydroen, bro, they are the homies. Like, look, I'm excited for this set to come out. I can't wait. It comes out probably, in a week from now? I think by the time this video goes up, potentially a week or two, like a week or less away. So I'm very excited to get my hands on the new cards, play them all, and try out these new cards in my different decks. So this set definitely is pretty cool. And for the World Championships, it'll definitely shake things up a little bit. Hope you enjoyed the video. Again, I'll leave a link to the tier list down below if you want to go try it for yourself. If you're new here to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 25,000 subs. Let me know your thought on my tier list ranking down below. Do you think anything needs to be moved up or down? I'm curious to hear that in the comment section. I'll catch y'all on another video very soon here. Have a good day. Bye-bye.